It is. Glenn, can you imagine that a mid ranking power under sanctions for 47 years managed to inflict a strategic defeat in the greatest armada in the history of Star Wars in a little over 2 months? Who could possibly imagine this only a few months ago? And that's exactly where we are now. So it's no wonder psychologically for them, they simply cannot, they don't even understand what happened and how would it happen. And now it's practically irreversible because the Strait of Hormuz from now on is an Iranian choke point, period. And even worse, this is a defeat of the petrodollar. This was a war also for controlling a key oil checkpoint and imposing the petrodollar because the regime change in Iran immediately after that will be back to the petrodollar. So they lost on all fronts. They lost geopolitically, militarily, and geoeconomically. It's too much for them to bear. It's off the charts in terms of the trauma.
Pepe Escobar, the legendary Brazilian geopolitical analyst known for his unflinching takes on the empire's overreach, has dropped a bombshell that the corporate media is either downplaying or outright ignoring. According to reports circulating in alternative and international media, the latest wave of Iranian strikes has obliterated one of the major troop shelters in Kuwait, with staggering preliminary figures suggesting that at least 200 American soldiers have been killed.
200 American soldiers have been killed. Shalom, call halal, Yahweh, Shemiel, Shabbat, Shem, Kakadash, double honor to the elder apostles and elder bishops, great millstone, even the elders that came before them. Taught us this true shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful like tabernacle of David. I'm the elder Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily update. Shalom and salutations to you all. All right, 200 soldiers. Are they gonna say this in the media? No, they're not. They're gonna continue to act like we've been warned now for 4 months, and there's only 3 American casualties. Let's check the record. See what they're going to say, what kind of lie they're going to tell. How many U.S. since I'm not going to tell them, it's going to be vague. 6. Okay? 6 troops were killed in Iranian strike in Kuwait. 6 died. Okay, so are you saying 12? Look how stupid and fucking. This isn't even an answer. So is this 13? Did you say 13 here? Okay, 13 American service members have died since February, and that's a whole fucking lie. You mean Iran has been leveling U.S. bases all around the Gulf, and there's only 13 people that have died? That's a damn lie. Okay? There's all manner of casualties in any one of these little skirmishes. Okay? 13, that's a whole lot. Okay? U.S. military's death toll rises to 14 one day ago. Oh, one person died. This is such bullshit. You know what the casualty count is? And I'm going to try to keep this short. What I was doing, I was just trying to show where this thing is going. Because famine and great death. Where's this at? Let me get that. The beginning. The beginning of coming back here. Woe is me, woe is me. 17? The beginning. The beginning. Here we are. Salakia. 2 Ezra 16 and 17. Woe is me, woe is me. Who will deliver me in those days? Is what Ezra was tripping. He was like, what the hell? The beginning of sorrows and great mourning. The beginning of famine and what? Great. Much. Not 13 soldiers in a 4-month war. That's a damn lie. Great death. The beginning of wars, not we've been fighting for years, for 20 years. The beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand and fear the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? $200 soldiers dead. Are they going to say that in the next 3 days? No. They're going to say 14, 15, they'll add one.
And as many as 15 others are critically injured, fighting for their lives in military hospitals across the region. While Western outlets and the Pentagon are desperate to spin this as a minor skirmish, the reality on the ground tells a completely different story. Videos have emerged from the scene, grainy, chaotic, but undeniable.
They had a bunch of motherfuckers over there losing their damn life. 33. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helper. In the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish. If that's a whole bunch of people dying, but they're showing you only 13 in this war. That's ridiculous.
Showing Iranian Shahed 136 loitering munitions diving with terrifying precision.
Only 2 people died in all this fire. Rest assured, this only killed 2 people, of which they'll only report 1.
To the heart of the American logistical hub.
It's lucky.
It's
just ridiculous. In 3 months of war, 13 people, that's a damn lot. But how many Iranians have, let's ask how many Iranians have died. 17, right, which is a damn lie. Yeah. 13, but 6,000, over 26,000 have been injured. This is such bullshit. This is bullshit. Are we to believe this? That's a more realistic number than 13, but I'm sure there's a lot more than that with all that fire jumping off. How many months? How long does it take to kill 6,000 people? One airstrike. What happened to 911? Which was bullshit, but I mean, come on, use some fucking common sense. How many people are dead in a 4-month war? 13 on one side? No.
But doing little to stop the swarm of incoming drones and missiles. It was a Shahed 136 loitering munitions diving with terrifying precision into the heart of the American logistical hub.
Yeah, but only one motherfucker died, though, yesterday. All of that only one nigga died. And 200,000 casualties.
The footage shows interceptors firing desperately into the night sky, but doing little to stop the swarm of incoming drones and missiles. It was a devastating, coordinated assault that has sent shockwaves through the U.S. military command. And according to Pepe, this is not just a battle. This is the beginning of the worst chapter for the American military presence in the Middle East. Now, before I go any deeper into this unfolding nightmare for the occupiers, I need to ask you something. If you are watching this and your targets were not just any military installations, they were the logistical arteries that keep the American war machine pumping. Reports confirm that the Iranian drones struck facilities belonging to Halliburton, the American oil services and logistics giant that holds billions of dollars in U.S. government contracts. Halliburton is the lifeblood of the U.S. military supply chain in the region, And by hitting them, Iran sent a clear message: we can sever the head of your operations whenever we choose. But Halliburton wasn't the only target. The Kuwait and Gulf Link Transport Company, better known as KGL, which holds hundreds of millions of dollars in U.S. military contracts, is also located in the same compound. This company is responsible for heavy lift transportation and distribution of food and supplies to American military bases across the Persian Gulf and the wider Middle East. By destroying these logistics hubs, Iran has effectively paralyzed the American ability to sustain its occupation forces in the region. The sheer scale of this operation is breathtaking. NASA's FIRMS, the Fire Information for Resource Management System, which uses satellite imagery to detect thermal anomalies and active fires, confirmed a massive blaze in the industrial town of Al-Shuaiba in Kuwait. And let's talk about the so-called fatigue on the side of Yemen. The Yemeni army, which has entered the war on the side of the Iranians, has struck Saudi oil platforms and airports as a deterrence against the strikes on Sana'a civilian airport. But critics say they struck Saudi once and then did nothing, claiming that this shows they are tired and want diplomacy. What these critics fail to understand is that Yemen is playing a different game. The Yemeni army has published a target bank of vital sites in the Saudi depth, including King Khalid International in Riyadh, King Abdulaziz International in Jeddah.
Damn it.
This
So I can get a little more out of this, and then I'm gonna go to the ground war.
King Fahd International in Dammam, and key ports like Jizan, Jeddah, and Ras Tanura oil port. This is not a sign of weakness, this is a strategic warning. By publishing these coordinates, the Yemeni army is saying, we know exactly where to hit you, and we can do it at any time. The fact that they have not yet unleashed their full arsenal is not fatigue, it is restraint. It is a message to the Saudis that the next strike will not be a warning, it will be a crippling blow.
Imperative for Trump. He hates to be humiliated. And he's being humiliated by the strategic defeat, which is the result of the war that he ordered. So can you imagine in the mind of basically a grown-up 4-year-old, how does that feel? And you can see in his inconsistencies, in the the fits of the childish fits of rage. As you mentioned, no consistency whatsoever. Anything he writes, says, etc. Bragging, and of course, rage. You can feel there's so much rage behind it. He has threatened to exterminate Iranian civilization at least 4 or 5 times these past few weeks. Seriously, exterminate everything, literally. And where is this leading? And everybody that has been trying, and everybody, I mean, literally everybody, not only the Pakistani mediators, but the Qataris, the Turks, the Egyptians, everybody, the Omanis, everybody who's been trying to, okay, we cannot allow the MOU to be derailed. This is the last chance salute. If this thing is derailed, then it's all out war. And here we are again in another escalation ladder provoked by him. Mm-hmm. And discarding the only possible mechanism that could give him a sort of a relatively dignified exit if he follows at least the basic points of the 14-point MOU. No, they broke almost everything. So the Iranians, they are looking at it and they said, what's the point? Okay, so we can, and this is now, the commitments now are bilateral. If they break it, we also break it. This is not unilateral anymore. So that's why there is this, it's practically a consensus among the top leadership in Tehran that there's no pointing about. The ceasefire has already been broken. The MOU is dead. That's it. We should exit and do our own thing. But this is not a final decision. And we are expecting some extra information between today and tomorrow. Exactly, let's say, how much longer the Iranians will tolerate American attacks. And this is a key, absolute key point. Because publicly, They have already said via members of the Majlis, some members of the Security Council, if there is another American attack, we exit the NPT. And we all know what that means if that happens. So this is already being discussed.
Nuclear Proliferation Treaty.
And there is already a plan B for the Iranian leadership. Okay, we exit the NPT. That's it. And there's nothing the Americans can do about that. So this is something that Larry Johnson and myself were trying to get this surefire confirmation of maximum tomorrow or by the end of the week. It's very complicated. The guy who passed this information to us is a guy that is in the inner circle of leader Mojtaba Khamenei. That's why it's so important. But he told us via his intermediaries, you should not publish this as a fact. This is being considered. But it's already in itself a bombshell, right? And of course, this may have leaked to Mar-a-Lago and Washington. So can you imagine if that happens, Glenn? And in fact, the whole fiction that the Americans have been trying to sell domestically to the whole world, which is about the Iranian nuclear program, collapses completely. We all know the real reason for the war, especially since the war went downhill from the beginning. Control of oil checkpoints, which they already lost. The US will never control the Strait of Hormuz again. This is really Iran's nuclear bomb. They don't even need a nuclear program.
"16 hours ago, Trump says he won't rule out sending troops to Iran. 2 days. Trump panics, prepares ground invasion." What is this? If they go to the ground invasion, more troops are going to die.
I discovered the text.
So,
continuous bombing campaign of Iran. Donald Trump is panicking as Iran refuses to surrender. Trump is flailing. He appears to be preparing U.S. Special Forces for a ground invasion of Iran, as Donald Trump's continuous bombing campaign of Iran is not working, and as Iran has responded very forcefully, attacking U.S. interests in the nearby Arab nations. If you take a look right here at the satellite image of the Oman port of Duqm, look at the Duqm port in Oman. You can see the Special Forces mothership belonging to the United States right here. It's called the Ocean Trader. In many ways, it's hiding in plain sight. When we saw Iran strike Duqm port the other day in Oman, lots of people were wondering, well, why were they doing that? Isn't Oman one of the previous mediators? Why would they be striking Oman? Well, they seem to be striking at the area where the U.S. was positioning special forces for a potential invasion of Iran. Also, we've been covering here on the Midas Touch Network how the U.S. supercarriers, the Abraham Lincoln and the George H.W. Bush, have positioned themselves around 250 kilometers from the coast of Iran. Also, if you look at where the United States has been targeting in Iran and the types of radar, surveillance, and other infrastructure that the U.S. has been targeting, one would think that that could potentially be trying to prepare the terrain for a ground invasion if ultimately Donald Trump decides to go in that direction. And he certainly appears to be getting more and more desperate and more volatile by the day, which is saying something because he's a very desperate and volatile person. I also want to point out something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to as well. We're seeing a lot of top Russian officials flying to Iran right now. Some of the Russian airplanes that would normally be used by their top envoys are heading to Iran, as I think Russia is further preparing to help Iran in the event the United States does launch a ground invasion, as we've seen Ukraine continuing to strike deep within Russia with those.
Give one precept and I'm going to go ahead and close. 38. 30. Easy E. 38. Gomer. Turkey. Syria. Iran. Russia. Okay, so this is speaking to Russia. Ezekiel 38:7. Be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee. Be thou a guard unto, and be thou a guard unto them. Ezekiel 38:5. Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, and all of them, shield and helmet, right? Gomer and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee, including China. So there's Iran with who? Russia. And they're guarding each other. What does this mean? This is for all of these countries to be part of Russia's military now. Okay? Iran and these Hamitic countries will be with them, will join you, are with them, will accompany them. You understand the language? They are now part of their army, are with them, will be with you, will be accompanying them. Joined unto them. Where is it? I thought there were some better ones than that. Let me see. You get the idea. Okay? They're all part of the same army now. Gomer and all its armies will also join you, and with all its troops of the bidding nations with you. So it is what it is. Iran is now part of the Russian army. Okay, that's what it's getting into. Let's see where we at here. Keep all the armies around you, mobilize them, take command. What does that mean? Take command of them. It means now that they belong to your army. This means that Iran is now part of the Russian army and take command of them. It says, keep all the armies around you, mobilize and take command of it. Okay? You will be their guard, right? Because they belong to you now. Be thou prepared, yea, prepare thyself, thou, and all the companies, that's military regiments, that are assembled unto thee, and be a guard unto thee. Keep your troops, all of them that belong to you now, prepared, that are assembled unto thee, assembled unto you, gathered around you, convoked together to thee. Con meaning with, voked, like yoked together to thee. So you get the point. All right, so the point I'm making is what? What did he just say? He said, it looks like Russia's over here helping Iran.
The States does launch a ground invasion, as we've seen Ukraine continuing to strike deep within Russia with those FP-1, FP-2, and FP-5 drones. One of the things that informs us that Donald Trump is potentially preparing a ground invasion in addition to the areas where he's striking, and it's been these continuous strikes which again appear to be setting the stage for a potential ground invasion. You can see the desperation of Donald Trump's other strikes grow when he's not striking the kind of coastline, radar, surveillance, other weapons that kind of guard the coast. The United States almost had a direct hit of the Bushehr nuclear power plant, and more desperate and more volatile by the day, which is saying something because he's a very desperate and volatile person. I also want to point out something that I don't think a lot of people are paying attention to as well. We're seeing a lot of top Russian officials flying to Iran right now. Some of the Russian airplanes that would normally be used by their top envoys are heading to Iran, as I think Russia is further preparing to help Iran in the event.
Further what? Preparing? Be prepared. This is talking to Russia. Be ready. Prepare. They're getting further what? Listen to the words. He said it. Further prepare.
Further preparing to help Iran in the event.
Who's further prepared? Russia is. Most High is facilitating the lesson.
I think Russia is further preparing to help Iran in the event the United States does launch a ground invasion, as we've seen Ukraine continuing to strike deep within Russia with those FP-1, FP-2, and FP-5 drones.
Get ready and prepare. Get ready, be prepared. Get ready, be prepared. Look at that word prepare. Prepare for yourself. Okay, prepare yourself. Be prepared. Be prepared and prepare yourself and all your companies, including Iran, and be a guard unto them because you're part of their army. That's your guard now. All right? So we're just watching the prophecies jump off the page, basically. I'm going to end with this right here. It's Sirach 5 and 15. Be not ignorant of anything in a great matter or small. World War III coming shortly. With that, we pray that the elect will edify your brothers and peace. Shalom.